Sorry, Mom. What kind of morons pay this clown? My dad sneered at my career. No more cash, ever. I hit send without a second thought. 6 months later, my sister's desperate call changed everything. I never thought I'd be the one to torch the bridge. Not me, the quiet kid who'd carried the family on my back since I was barely old enough to vote. But bridges burn slow at first, don't they? A spark here, a crack there, until the whole damn thing collapses in a roar you can't ignore. That's how it went with us. My name's Lucas, 26 years old, and for 7 years, I've been the golden goose they mocked while plucking every feather I had, until the day I stopped laying eggs. It started like any other morning. Sunlight sliced through my blinds, sharp and accusing, hitting the desk where my monitors hummed softly. The ping of donation alerts from my overnight stream still echoed in the room. $20 here, $50 there. Little digital hugs from a community I'd built from scratch. 5 million followers across platforms. Deals with gaming companies I'd idolized as a kid. A sleek apartment with a view of the city skyline. All of it from streaming, from turning late-night gaming sessions into a career. Surreal, sure, but real enough to pay my bills, and theirs. My phone buzzed on the desk. 3 missed calls from Mom, a text from my brother Jake. Yo, when's the cash hitting this month? Rent's due. Nothing new there. My stomach twisted, that old familiar knot of being a wallet with a heartbeat. I ignored it, sipped my coffee, scrolled my inbox, content collabs, sponsor pitches, the pulse of a life they didn't get. Dad called it fooling around online, a lazy kid scam. Mom just smiled thinly, like she was humoring a toddler. Jake? He'd roll his eyes and ask for more. Then the notification hit, a DM from my mod, Sarah, who'd been with me since day one. Lucas, you need to see this, now. A link followed. My pulse kicked up, palms sweaty as I clicked. Channel drama? A copyright strike? I'd weathered those storms before. But this was a hurricane I never saw coming. The video loaded, grainy at first, then sharp as a knife. My dad's voice boomed, loud and smug, cutting through the hum of Mom's kitchen. Who pays this fool? Sitting there, clicking buttons all day like some overgrown kid. What kind of idiots throw money at that? The camera wobbled, Jake's shaky grip behind it, filming from the doorway like a coward. Mom sat at the table, stirring her tea, chuckling. Oh, Greg, stop. At least his little game pays the bills. Dad grinned, leaned back in his chair. Yeah, our personal ATM. Look at me. I'm Lucas. Pro gamer. He hunched over, mocked my setup, clicking an invisible mouse with exaggerated whines. So important, huh? Never worked a real job in his life. Jake's voice piped up, egging him on. Tell us again, Dad, how he thinks this is work. More laughter, a chorus of it, slicing me open. The video stretched on, 2 minutes, then 3, each second a fresh wound. 30,000 views already, posted on Jake's pathetic little TikTok with a caption, When your brother thinks streaming is a job, LOL. My hands shook, coffee forgotten, the screen blurring as rage and shame collided in my chest. 8 years. 8 years of wiring money, $2,000 a month, sometimes more. I'd paid off their house, covered Jake's car after he totaled his last one, funded Mom's emergency shopping sprees, Dad's fishing trips, all while they smirked behind my back, now in front of the world. I'd known they didn't respect it, not really, but this was a public gut punch, a family-wide middle finger to the one thing keeping them afloat. My phone buzzed again. Mom, Lucas, sweetie, when's this month's transfer? Dad and I are eyeing that new deck we mentioned. The deck, the one they'd casually dropped in a call last month, like I'd just nod and foot the bill. Something snapped, a quiet break deep inside, like a string stretched too thin, finally giving way. I set the phone down, let it buzz itself to death, and opened my banking app. The joint account stared back at me. $720,000 my money, every dime I'd stashed there for family emergencies. Their emergencies, always. car repairs, medical copays, Jake's rent when he forgot to budget. I hovered over the transfer button, breath shallow, then moved it all. Every cent to my private account. Done. Then I typed an email, short, cold, final. Attached the video link, added one line. No more handouts. Ever. I hit send, shut my laptop, stepped onto my balcony. The city hummed below, oblivious, and for the first time in years I breathed, really breathed, like I just clawed my way out of a grave. The fallout came fast. Calls, texts, voicemails piling up like a digital avalanche. Mom's voice shrill and pleading. Lucas, what's this about? Call me. Jake, all bravado. Dude, you serious? Quit playing. Dad didn't bother. He'd wait for Mom to guilt me back in line. I muted them, streamed that night like nothing happened, smiled for my chat, bantered with my mods. They didn't need to know. This was mine, this world I'd built, and they had no claim to it anymore. 3 days of silence. Mine, not theirs. I blocked their numbers after the first wave, changed my email, told my doorman to turn them away. Then the buzzer rang, sharp and insistent, cutting through my morning coffee. Mr. Carter, your father's here. He's upset. Should I send him up? My heart slammed against my ribs, flight instinct screaming, but I was done hiding. Yeah, send him up. The wait was torture. Each tick of the clock, a hammer on my nerves. 3 hard knocks rattled the door, and there he was. Dad, red-faced, barreling past me before I could speak. What the hell are you doing? Lucas? His voice filled the room, heavy with that old authority I'd once shrunk from. I shut the door, slow, deliberate. Good to see you too, Dad. He spun on me, finger jabbing the air. Don't get cute. What's this crap about cutting us off? Your mother's a wreck. I met his glare, steady, unflinching. I saw the video. His face flickered, confusion, then a flash of guilt, buried fast under dismissal. That? That was a joke, kid. Jake was messing around. You know how he is. A joke. My voice came out flat, too calm. Dangerous. 30,000 people laughing at me. That's a hell of a punchline. He waved it off like swatting a fly. You're too sensitive. Always have been. Can't take a little ribbing? The casual shrug, the smirk. It lit a fuse I didn't know I had. Ribbing? I've bankrolled you for years, Dad. Your house, your trips, Jake's screw-ups. All from this joke of a job. He scoffed, crossed his arms. Oh, please, you play games. Lucas, it's not work. You're lucky it pays anything. Lucky. The word hit like a slap, and I laughed. Sharp, bitter, cutting through the tension. Lucky? I'm one of the top streamers in the game. I built this from nothing while you sat there judging me, cashing my checks. We're family, he barked, stepping closer, looming like he used to when I was small. That's what family does. Helps each other. I didn't back down. Not this time. Helps each other? When did you help me, Dad? When you laughed at my dreams? When you bragged about my money while trashing how I made it? He faltered just a second, but it was enough. The truth hung there, naked, undeniable. We raised you, he muttered, weaker now, grasping. Gave you a home. I nodded, slow, mocking. Yeah, the bare minimum, and I've paid it back 100 times over. So what's your excuse for the last 7 years? He had nothing, mouth opening and closing, like a fish on dry land. I pressed on, voice rising. You mocked me in front of the world, and now you're here because you need cash for a deck? Get real. His face twisted, anger flaring back. You think you're better than us now? With your little internet fans? That stung, the old shame creeping in, but I shoved it down, let fury take its place. Those little fans respect me more than you ever did. I'm not choosing them over you. I'm choosing me. He stared, stunned, like I'd grown a second head. Then the guilt card, his ace. Your mom's crushed, Lucas. You want to break her heart over this? I smirked, cold as ice. She'll survive. Might even learn to budget. His eyes narrowed, calculating. And Jake? His rent's due. You gonna let him sink? Jake's 23, I shot back. He can figure it out. I did. Dad's mask slipped, desperation bleeding through. We've got bills, expenses. You can't just abandon us. The entitlement, raw and ugly, stole my breath for a second. Then I stepped closer, voice low, final. Get a job. Dad, I'm done. The silence was deafening, a chasm opening between us. His face crumpled. Rage, shame, disbelief all at once. You ungrateful brat, he hissed, voice trembling. After everything we've done. I cut him off, calm, lethal. What have you done, Dad? Name one thing since I started paying your way. He froze, words dying in his throat, and in that silence I saw it. He had nothing, nothing but me, the fool who'd kept them afloat. Leave, I said, pointing to the door. This isn't over, he snarled, storming out, slamming it so hard the wall shook. I stood there, waiting for the guilt to hit, the old panic of disappointing them. It didn't come. Instead, a weight lifted, light and strange, like I'd shed a skin I didn't know I'd outgrown. That night I streamed again, unscheduled, raw. My chat buzzed. You okay, man? Something's up, spill. I hesitated, then let it out. Made a big call today. Set some boundaries, feels good. No details, no sob story, just the truth. The support rolled in, waves of it, from people who'd never met me but knew me better than my own blood. Proud of you, Lucas. You deserve better. I swallowed hard, blinked back something wet, and kept going. Weeks passed, a quiet I hadn't known I needed. Jake texted once, all caps. You seriously screwing us over? Rent's late. I didn't reply. Mom called from a burner number a month later, voice soft, shaky. Lucas, we're struggling. Dad won't say it, but we need you. My chest ached. She was Mom, after all, the one who'd tucked me in, kissed my scrapes, but she'd stood by, laughed too, cashed the checks. I'm sorry, I said firm. I can't anymore. Your family, she whispered, the old line worn thin. Family doesn't mock each other for laughs, I replied. That video wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. She sighed, long and heavy. Kelly's sorry, you know. She didn't mean, I cut in. It's still up, Mom. 35,000 views now. Actions speak louder. She had no answer, just silence, and I hung up, steady, unburdened. Then the bank alert. $300 withdrawn from the old emergency account I'd forgotten to kill. They'd found a way in, scraped the last crumbs. I shut it down, cut the final thread, and felt nothing. No anger, no shock, just confirmation I'd chosen right. 6 months later, life was mine. A new deal with a major platform, 7 figures, a house with a yard, a rescue pup named Blitz who chewed my cables but made me laugh. The family-shaped scar faded, still there but less raw. Then Jake messaged, no demands this time, just, hey, miss you. That video was dumb. I was an ass. Not an apology, not quite, but a crack in the wall. I replied cautious, yeah, it sucked. Coffee sometime? No promises, no cash. Just a step, maybe. A year in, a package arrived, no sender, postmarked home. A USB drive, a note in Mom's shaky scrawl. I'm sorry it took so long. I plugged it in, hands unsteady. Dad's face filled the screen. Older, tired, alone at that damn kitchen table. Lucas, if you see this, I was wrong. About your job, about you. I didn't get it. Still don't, maybe. But I was jealous. You made it doing what you love. I never did. His voice cracked, eyes shining. I tore you down because I felt small. Took your money, mocked you anyway. I'm sorry. It ended abrupt, no fanfare. I sat there, staring, feeling the past shift. Not gone, not fixed, but seen. I didn't call back, not yet. Some things need time, even after the words come. But I kept the drive, let the good memories creep in. Dad teaching me to ride a bike, his rare grin when I won a school award. Small, buried things, not enough to erase the hurt, but enough to soften it. Now, 18 months out, I'm solid. Streaming's my life. My community's my backbone, and I don't need anyone's approval but my own. If they come back, Mom, Dad, Jake, it'll be on my terms with respect, not a paycheck. I'm not the kid they laughed at anymore. I'm Lucas, the guy who built something real, who learned that family isn't blood. It's who lifts you up. And that's a truth I'll carry, heavy as it was to earn, light as it feels to live.